Hi, my name is Crevel, and now we will hear 5 cheating stories that got exposed in the worst way.
Most people don't discover betrayal in a dramatic moment. Sometimes it happens slowly. Through small details. A strange message. A charge on a credit card. Or a friend request from someone you've never met. But sometimes, one small mistake exposes everything. In this video you'll hear 5 Reddit stories where hidden affairs were uncovered in the most unexpected ways. One person realized they had been paying for their partner's secret dates. Another discovered their spouse's affair because of a Facebook message from a stranger. And one story ends with a twist so unexpected. It completely changed how the person saw their entire relationship. Let's start with the first story. Story 1: Normal discovery. Sometimes betrayal doesn't reveal itself with drama. Sometimes it begins with something small. A routine notification. A shared account. And one question that suddenly feels impossible to answer. A 27-year-old man had been living with his girlfriend for almost 3 years. They split bills, shared responsibilities, and even used a joint credit card for groceries and everyday expenses. He handled most of the payments because he was better with finances. For a long time, everything seemed normal. Until one night when he received a notification from their credit card app. There had been a charge from a restaurant he didn't recognize. The total looked like a dinner for 2. When he asked his girlfriend about it later that evening, she casually explained that she had gone out with coworkers after work. It sounded reasonable. But something about the situation didn't feel right. A few days later, another notification appeared. Same restaurant. Similar amount. But this time it happened on her day off. He didn't confront her immediately. Instead, he quietly started reviewing their credit card statements. And what he found made his stomach drop. Several more charges appeared over the past few months. Bars. Cafes. Restaurants near her office. All places he had never visited with her. When he finally asked her about it directly, she started crying before he even finished the question. That's when she admitted everything. She had been seeing someone from work. 4 months. But the part that hurt him the most wasn't just the cheating. It was the realization that every one of those dates had been paid for with their shared card. Which meant he had unknowingly paid for them himself. She moved out the following week. He canceled the card. And ended the relationship. But one thought stayed in his mind long after everything was over. He wasn't just betrayed. He had been financing his own heartbreak. And Story 2: Interesting discovery. Most people assume affairs are read by accident. But sometimes, the truth arrives in a message from someone you've never even met. One man had been married for 18 years. They had 2 kids together. A house. And what he believed was a stable life. One afternoon he received a Facebook friend request from a woman he didn't recognize. Normally he would ignore something like that. But they had a few mutual friends. So he accepted it. A few minutes later, she sent him a message. And what she wrote immediately made his heart race. She said she had just caught his wife and her husband together in her bedroom. She had walked in on them unexpectedly, holding her daughter in her arms. At first he thought it had to be a misunderstanding. But the woman began sending details. She explained that his wife had been visiting a friend that weekend. But the friend had already left earlier that day. The only vehicle outside the house when she arrived was her husband's truck. When the man who received the message drove back to the house to check, the truck was already gone. But the woman confirmed something that made everything fall into place. She recognized the vehicle. It belonged to her husband. And that's when he started connecting the dots. For months his wife had been saying she was visiting a friend, sometimes even bringing their daughter along as an excuse. But the truth was much darker. The friend had been covering for her, while she secretly met another man. When he confronted his wife through text messages, she denied everything at first. But after hours of back-and-forth arguments, she finally admitted the affair. And just like that, two families were destroyed by the same secret. Sometimes the truth doesn't come from the person you love. Sometimes it comes from a stranger who has nothing left to lose. Story 3: Shocking Discovery. Most betrayals are hidden carefully. But occasionally, one careless mistake reveals everything. A man in his early 30s began noticing something strange about his girlfriend. Every night around midnight, she would step outside to take phone calls. When he asked who she was talking to, she always gave the same answer. Work stress. A coworker venting. At first he believed her. But one evening she forgot her phone at home when she went to the gym. A message appeared on the screen. The notification preview read, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow night." The contact name wasn't saved, just a phone number. Curious, he opened the conversation. And what he saw instantly made his chest tighten. Months of messages, photos, plans for hotel stays, and conversations that clearly showed they had been seeing each other behind his back. But the most shocking part wasn't the messages. It was the timeline. The affair had started nearly a year earlier, during the same period when she had been talking about moving in together and planning their future. When she returned home that night, he simply placed the phone on the table and asked one question. Who is he? She tried denying it at first. But when he showed her the messages, she finally admitted the truth. The relationship ended that same night. And the man later wrote on Reddit that what hurt the most wasn't just the betrayal. It was realizing that someone could talk about building a future with you, while secretly building a completely different life behind your back. Story 4: Emotional Discovery. Some betrayals aren't discovered by technology. They're discovered by instinct. A woman had been married for 7 years. Her husband was kind, supportive, and always said the right things. But over time she began noticing subtle changes. He became distant, spent more time at work, and stopped talking about their future plans. One evening she accidentally saw his phone light up while he was in the shower. The message preview showed a heart emoji, from a name she didn't recognize. She didn't open the conversation. Instead, she waited. And over the next few weeks she quietly paid attention to everything. Late meetings, weekend work trips, suddenly changing passwords. Eventually she decided to follow him one evening after he said he had to stay late at the office. But instead of driving to work, he parked outside a small apartment building. And after a few minutes, another woman walked out to meet him. They hugged, kissed, and went inside together. The moment felt surreal, like watching someone else's life unfold in front of her. She didn't confront him right away. Instead, she drove home, packed a suitcase, and left. Later, she simply sent him a message that said, "I hope she was worth losing everything we built." Some people on Reddit asked why she didn't fight for the relationship. Her answer was simple. Because sometimes the most powerful response to betrayal is choosing not to stay where you're not respected. Story 5: Insane Twist. Most people believe they know their partner completely. But sometimes the truth is far stranger than anyone expects. A man had been dating his girlfriend for 2 years. Their relationship seemed stable. No major arguments. No suspicious behavior.
But one day a coworker approached him at work with an awkward question. The coworker asked if he knew that his girlfriend had been seen regularly at a nearby cafe with another man. At first he assumed it was just a misunderstanding. But curiosity got the better of him. So one afternoon he decided to visit the cafe himself. And there she was, sitting at a table, laughing with someone he had never seen before. But the twist came moments later. Because when he walked closer, he realized something shocking. The man sitting with her wasn't a stranger. It was his own co-worker. Someone he spoke to almost every day. Someone who had visited their apartment before. When both of them noticed him standing there, the silence was immediate. The relationship ended that same day. But what stayed with him long after was one realization. The people who betray you aren't always strangers. Sometimes, they're the ones sitting next to you every day.
Stories like these remind us of something uncomfortable but important. Betrayal rarely happens out of nowhere. Most of the time, there were small signs along the way. Ignored messages, strange behavior, or instincts we tried to convince ourselves were wrong. But I'm curious about something. Which story shocked you the most? Story 1, 2, 3, 4, or the last one? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy listening to real Reddit stories like these, you can check out the next video on the screen right now. It includes even more unbelievable relationship stories that people thought would never happen to them. Because sometimes, the truth is stranger than fiction. No major arguments. No suspicious behavior. But one day a coworker approached him at work with an awkward question. The coworker asked if he knew that his girlfriend had been seen regularly at a nearby cafe with another man. At first he assumed it was just a misunderstanding. But curiosity got the better of him. So one afternoon he decided to visit the cafe himself. And there she was, sitting at a table, laughing with someone he had never seen before. But the twist came moments later. Because when he walked closer, he realized something shocking. The man sitting with her wasn't a stranger. It was his own co-worker. Someone he spoke to almost every day. Someone who had visited their apartment before. When both of them noticed him standing there, the silence was immediate. The relationship ended that same day. But what stayed with him long after was one realization. The people who betray you aren't always strangers. Sometimes, they're the ones sitting next to you every day.